Genesis 1:1. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. The book of Genesis was written by Moses for the people of God around 1445 B.C. He began with the best explanation of who God is, the creator of the universe. Notice first, the universe began to exist. There was a time when the universe did not exist, and this is powerful evidence for the existence of God. If anything is clear to us, it is that something cannot come from nothing. If there was nothing, more than a single grain of sand in the entire universe, it would still prove the existence of God, because out of nothing, nothing comes. To avoid responsibility to their Maker, however, some have argued that the universe is eternal. If it has always existed, then it didn't need to be created, or so it is thought. But in the last century, scientists discovered the universe is expanding, and, therefore, had a beginning. If you play the movie of an expanding universe backward, you'll see it become smaller and smaller until it no longer exists. And if you play the movie forward again, you'll see the universe pop into existence at a particular point in time. An expanding universe proves the universe is not eternal, but had a beginning, just as the Bible teaches. Notice second, the greatness of God who exists outside time and space, and is the best explanation for both. When I was a child, I tried to imagine the beginning of time. In my head, I traveled back to the very first moment when everything began. But then I wondered, what was before then? Then I traveled to the edge of space, where I could only imagine a massive brick wall. But then I wondered, what's on the other side of that wall? We can't imagine the beginning of time or space, but we can easily think of the God who made them both, because that's how He designed us. Time and space find their source in God, and lead us back to Him. Notice third, nothing is impossible with God. Unbelievers scoff at biblical miracles like the virgin birth of Christ and the resurrection of Christ. This is understandable since, by their very nature, miracles are rare and hard to believe. But if you accept the first and most spectacular miracle of the Bible, that God created everything out of nothing, then there's no reason to think He couldn't part the sea, make the sun stand still, or preserve a man inside a fish. Nothing is logically impossible for a God who creates everything out of nothing. Genesis 1:3. God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. But God didn't make the sun for another 3 days, so we ought to think about where this light came from. The best explanation is that it came from God Himself. God is light. In Him there is no darkness at all, wrote John. So after He made the world, God began revealing Himself. This He did progressively to Adam and Eve, Abraham, Moses, the prophets, and to many others. God revealed Himself more and more until He came in the person of Jesus Christ, who said, "I am the light of the world." Isaiah didn't say it, neither did Jeremiah, Ezekiel, or Daniel. Only Jesus Christ could say, "I am the light of the world," because only Jesus Christ is divine. And coming to Christ is like God turning on His light in our hearts. For God, who said, "Let light shine out of darkness," made His light shine in our hearts to give us the light of the knowledge of God's glory displayed in the face of Christ, wrote Paul. We all live in spiritual darkness until we understand the gospel. Then, suddenly, the light comes on. Through Jesus Christ, we come to know God, not by argument or inference, but directly and personally. There is excellent evidence for Christianity, but we're not Christians primarily because of the evidence. We are Christians because Jesus Christ revealed Himself to us through the gospel. Nor is He done revealing Himself. The city of God does not need the sun or the moon to shine on it, for the glory of God gives it light, and the Lamb is its lamp, wrote John. Notice the progression. God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. Then He revealed Himself more and more to Abraham, Moses, and the prophets. Then He came in the person of Jesus Christ, who said, "I am the light of the world." Then He made His light shine in our hearts, and soon we'll live in the city where God Himself is the light, because God is light. In Him there is no darkness at all. Genesis 1:16. God made two great lights, the greater light to govern the day and the lesser light to govern the night. He also made the stars. Moses wrote for the Israelites who, after many years, came out of Egyptian slavery. In Egypt, they learned about the sun god, the moon god, and many other gods. So Moses had to teach them that those gods don't exist. The God who just redeemed them created both the sun and the moon, and he also made the stars. Credible estimates put the number of stars in the sky to be more than all the grains of sand on earth. To whom will you compare me? Or who is my equal, says the Holy One. Lift up your eyes and look to the heavens. Who created all these? He who brings out the starry host one by one and calls forth each of them by name. Because of his great power and mighty strength, not one of them is missing, recorded Isaiah. But God was just getting started. After he made the stars, God created birds, fish, and every other creature. Over 1 million species of life on earth has been cataloged, and that's probably only 1/10 of what exists. If the name Bob, written in the sand, proves intelligence at work, how much more the world and all its amazing creatures? Hummingbirds are a good example of God's intelligent design. They're the smallest birds in the world. Some weigh less than a penny. Their wings rotate a full circle, allowing them to fly forward, backward, sideways, and even upside down. They fly about 25 miles an hour and can dive up to 60 miles an hour. Some can fly over 20 hours without rest and migrate over 2,000 miles. They breathe over 200 times a minute, and their heart beats over 1,000 times a minute. They visit about 1,000 flowers a day and pollinate every flower they visit. How many are your works, Lord? In wisdom you made them all, wrote the psalmist. This video was made possible through the generous support of Ed and Sharon Porter and people like you. Thanks for helping more and more people learn the Bible in a year. For reflection and review, please answer the following 3 questions. 1. Why does the first miracle in the Bible make it easier to believe other miracles in the Bible? 2. Why did Jesus claim to be the light of the world? 3. Why does creation prove the existence of God?